I'm sure you heard the following sentence more than one time in your life. Jews like to complain. The truth is that when you study the Torah, it seems to prove the statement. In this week's parsha, Chukas, we have one such example. Towards the end of the 40 years of wandering in the desert, after the Jews had eaten the manna for 40 years, the Torah describes how the people became disheartened because of the way. And as a result, the people spoke against God and against Moses. Why have you brought us out of Egypt to die in this desert? For there's no bread and there's no water, and we are disgusted with this rotten bread. Now this was a blatant, disrespectful, ingrateful complaint against Moses, and God would not have it. In Bamidbar Numbers chapter 21 verse 6, the Lord sent against the people the venomous snake, and they bit the people, and many people of Israel died. As a result of this punishment, the Jewish people immediately realize their grave error and they do tshuva, they repent. As verse 7 states, the people came to Moses and they said, "We have sinned, for we have spoken against the Lord and against you. Pray to the Lord that he remove the snakes from us." So Moses prayed to God on their behalf. Not only do they ask Moses, whom they had just disrespected, for forgiveness, they beg him to pray for them too. Now we can pause right here and ask ourselves, what would we do in such a situation? Would we respond with full love, with partial love, with any love? Of course, Moses, being the loving, caring, and dedicated leader, prays for them. He doesn't hesitate for even one moment. But what happens next is perhaps most interesting and such an important lesson for all of us. The Lord said to Moses, "Make yourself a serpent and put it on a pole, and let whoever is bitten look at it and live." Moses made a copper snake and put it on a pole, and whenever a snake bit a man, he would gaze upon the copper snake and he would live. There's an interesting detail over here that gets easily overlooked, and that is, what does it mean to make for yourself a serpent? The snake was made by Moses to save the Jews who had sinned. This wasn't for Moshe's benefit. Why did God use this language, make yourself? The answer, my friends, is that God wanted to test Moses and see how much did he actually forgive the Jewish people. Make for yourself means make it with your own money. You're not permitted to use communal funds for this, God said. It has to come out of your own pocket. Why did God insist that Moses pay for the medicine for the Jews? Why was this detail so important? The answer, the Rebbe explains, is that the way to prove that a person has truly forgiven the other is not to see whether he says the words, "I forgive you," or even to see if he prays for the other. It's much more than that. Look to see whether he gives of his own personal money to pay for the cure that will heal those who attacked him and hurt him. Many times people bear a grudge or resentment against a friend or a family member that carries on for years and even decades. They know that it's not healthy. They know that they need to forgive him. And eventually they do. But still, many times, the anger lingers and finds its way back. The Torah gives us the tools on dealing with this anger. How to really get to the point where you truly forgive your friend and are freed from this powerful feeling of resentment. It's through actually coming to that person's aid. When you hear that the other person that you resent is not succeeding in business, pray for him and ask God to grant him success. And even more, help him in a physical manner. Refer customers to him. Give him a loan. Spend your own money on him. This behavior is the best cure for freeing yourself of resentment and truly turning a new chapter in life. They say the story, there was once a group of Hasidim in Europe who were standing in line waiting for an audience with their Rebbe. Among them was an individual who had been waiting there for 3 days and was very stressed out. As they were standing there, the Rebbe's aide came out and told him that he would not be able to see the Rebbe today either. Now this Chassid got very angry and lost his cool. He began shouting and arguing with the aide. And in the heat of the moment, he got physical and actually attacked the aide, and chaos erupted. The Rebbe, who had been sitting in his office the entire time, heard the commotion and immediately called the aide to ask him what was going on outside. At first, the aide didn't want to tell the Rebbe, but when the Rebbe insisted, he informed him that a chassid had hit him. The Rebbe became very, very upset and told his aide, "Tell him that a Jew who resorts to violence and who raises his hand against his fellow Jew is not a Jew that I'm interested in meeting at all." So the aide went out and gave the chassid the news. Now it so happens that this particular chassid had traveled weeks so that he could meet with the Rebbe. He had been married at that point for over a decade and had not been blessed with children. And so he had come to ask for his Rebbe's holy blessing for children. But now, when he heard that the Rebbe didn't want to see him, he burst out in bitter sobbing, feeling like his whole world had been shattered. He had hung all his hopes on his Rebbe's bracha, and now he was left with nothing. The chassid's sobs deeply touched the Aid's heart, and he felt very sorry for him. So he came up to him and he said, "Listen, even though the Rebbe said that he's not interested in seeing you, I want to help you get the Rebbe's bracha. That's why I'll be bold and take the risk of letting you into the Rebbe. And I'll even come in with you, and I hope that God will help." So the Aid enters the Rebbe's office together with the chassid. He then addresses the Rebbe, saying that he was prepared to forgive the chassid with a full heart, but only on one condition. The condition is that the Rebbe give him a blessing for children. When his Rebbe heard these words, he smiled broadly and happily blessed the chassid that he should have children. My friends, this is the meaning of true Ahavas Yisrael. Let us take this lesson to heart. I wish you a good Shabbos.